webinar. It looks like it's 1:30. I want to kick it off so we can maximize the time that you're investing here today. If this is your first Wicked Smart webinar, welcome. My name is Andy Bonce. I am the host of the Wicked Smart webinar. We put this together back in March. Our goal is to bring resources and experts and connect them to local business owners like yourself. So we are very fortunate today to have Rachel Minion here. I've talked to her a few months ago, and she's worked with some really big brands and helped market them very well. And now she's off on her own. She has escaped to Florida away from Chicago. So she was bragging about how it was 80 degrees and beautiful there. So we won't hate her for that, but that's okay. Today, she's going to cover how to maximize your Rockstar marketing team. And I am really excited about this topic because the landscape of the marketing team has changed. And I don't think many business owners have changed with it. So I am excited that what Rachel is going to share with you today will help maybe shift a paradigm for your business and maybe think about your marketing team a little bit different and what you need for the future. Just some housekeeping stuff. This is a recorded webinar, so you will receive both the slides and the recording afterwards. We do have all of our past Wicked Smart webinars on our YouTube channel. So if we did add some value to your life today, I do encourage you to go on our YouTube channel, like, share, and subscribe on there so you can revisit it and share it with other people on your team or other colleagues and business owners. So without further ado, I am going to kick it over to Rachel. I'm going to stop my screen and let Rachel take over here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so glad I didn't have to follow Beyonce. I feel much better about that, so thank you. Welcome, everybody. I'm so incredibly grateful to have time with you today. And let's jump in. Let's start talking about how do you build a Rockstar marketing team and how do you maximize it? So to get started, I love to start talking about this amazing quote from Bono. No, I'm not Bono. I just thought that this will get us on the right path. I grew up wanting to be a rock star, but I have no musical talent whatsoever. That didn't stop me from dreaming of becoming a rock star though. So I am Rachel Minion, founder of Rockstarr Moon. And as head rock star, I wake up every single day ready to change the world and have a little bit of fun while I do it. Our mission began a decade ago. I was helping my friends and coworkers grow their businesses and side hustles. I spent the last decade helping these businesses thrive through good marketing. And I'm going to stress it is good marketing. Some of my clients didn't believe in things like lead capture fields, or I don't know, having a form on the website, or having a download, or even doing anything on social media other than putting themselves out there. But once you get those good marketing practices, they could see immediately, sometimes overnight, how it could turn their business upside down and get them exactly what they're looking for, which is success. The best part of Rockstar at the time is that it was a side hustle. So it afforded me this amazing experience to achieve wins for large organizations. I'm sure you recognize a few of these. So this helped grow my skill set across marketing, but also gave me the stories that I can come back and talk to you today with a very big body of work that will show you how in corporate America we're defining the marketing leader and how I think we should redefine it based on certain principles that, quite frankly, we can't do it all. With the opportunity of COVID, I've been able to get away from these large organizations and be able to start changing the world on a regular basis. And now, since I'm a rock star, we have a set list. Let's start going through it. We're going to start by defining that role of the marketing leader, set the strategy, help you identify talent gaps, and end with defining the new marketing team. Let's talk about what today's marketing leader does. So in today's marketing world, I'll start with an example. I started a few years ago as marketing director for a large corporation. My job role was pretty defined. I knew exactly in the interview process what I was coming in for. I knew what my responsibilities were. I knew what my metrics were. I knew everything start to finish. I was responsible for branding, sales enablement, and events. Nothing else. By Tuesday afternoon, My role changed dramatically. So audience, can you help us out? Can you write in the chat what you think a marketing leader is responsible for? And Andy, if you want to call them out, let's go through that. Come on, guys, wake up. We started with Beyonce. All right, so what does a marketing leader do?
Cedric said empowerment.
Empowerment. All right, what else do they do? What else are they responsible for?
Dan said direct the strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Travis said tell the story of our business. Bob said innovate.
Yep. And we're talking marketing leader. Anyone from a marketing coordinator could be, it could be a marketing manager. Every organization has a different level of marketing leader. And some may have a few marketing leaders, some may have one, some may have a team. And it really depends across the landscape. So Monday, I was responsible for those 3 activities. By Tuesday afternoon, these were my responsibilities. Do I have experience in all these specialized areas? 100%. Yes, I do. Do I think I could do a pretty great job in each of these different activities? Yes. Do I think I could do anything more than the bare minimum for each of these areas as a team of 2? Absolutely not. So knowing this, there's no way you can do anything other than just a good job, a sufficient job, and understanding that. But at the same time, these are the priorities. So what do you do? Other than feel overwhelmed, I'm sure you're feeling just as overwhelmed as I am, just seeing what my Tuesday afternoon job responsibilities were. So as I tried to make my way through the list of this is the priority, this is the priority, this is the high priority, and everything became a high priority, I learned about the T-shaped marketer. So this is really where you can lay out your breadth and width of knowledge, and it becomes a generalist almost. So the concept of T-shaped people describes the abilities of people at work. It sometimes means a generalist. So this vertical bar on the T represents the depth of related skills and expertise in a single field. The horizontal bar is the ability to collaborate across disciplines with experts in other areas and really be able to apply knowledge in areas of expertise other than one's own. So this creates a blueprint for how someone can grow their marketing skills as well as grow their career. When we jump into this, there is the first layer. This first layer is base knowledge. So these are non-marketing specific areas that everyone on the team should have. In theory, anyone who applies for a marketing role on your team or someone who's on the team already should be working to level it up. So you may have a statistician on your team. Great, they may know analytics, great, but do they understand storytelling and behavioral psychology? No, I'm not saying that they need to be an expert. They need to have just a base knowledge of that. And those basic abilities really trickle down and inform all the other skills that as marketers we need and that we bring to the table. It isn't enough to walk to the table and say, okay, I know everything about data that there is to know. No, we need to have a full picture so that we can be able to help our companies succeed. The next layer is that marketing foundation. So these are marketing specific subjects, and this may not be the same for your organization. Every organization is different on what the marketing foundation that is important. So with this organization, it's conversion rate optimization, it's A/B testing, it's Photoshop wireframing, database querying, copywriting, and funnel marketing. That may not be the same for your organization. And that's where you can dig in and really be able to create something that is personalized for how you work and how your business performs. Then there's that last layer, that's channel expertise. This is the part that I love the most because it's really interesting and every marketer will have a different channel expertise. This one, for example, is email marketing and content marketing that are really have that breadth of knowledge. So if you ask me anything on email marketing, content marketing, would I have it? 100%. But think about everything else. You have the basic knowledge there. You are able to work within that. You understand it, but it doesn't mean that you know everything about events that there is to know. So your turn. This is the breadth of the marketer. Think right now of your existing marketing team. Where are their strengths? And where are their weaknesses? Remember, they can't do everything. You want a marketer that's really good in somewhere between 1 and 3 areas. If they're producing amazing work in 1 to 3 areas, you're going to see amazing results. You're going to see results you didn't expect. And they're going to be able to not only focus, but be able to do a great job and continue to iterate on getting the job done. If you want a generalist who's just okay in all these areas, they're going to produce okay work if they have responsibilities across the board, but is okay really enough to push your business forward. So let's use me for an example. I have a degree in psychology and I'm self-taught in design over the last 20-something years. I've been building on my skills with analytics and testing. But if you ask me how I do with databases or SEO, I can survive, but that is not where I will succeed. And that's where I always have a team that can complement me. But I'm confident in my ability to write product messaging, create emails that get opened, and design a beautifully converting website. This T-shape can be applied to any member of your marketing team and really help you identify the varying depths of their expertise. And maybe it's that events are their strong point, not email marketing. So now that we have the basis, that's where we need to set the strategy. And we need to do that before we can understand where your talent gaps are. So now you're thinking back to your team. Let's take this high level again. So many businesses execute based on their existing talent because that's what they're comfortable with, not necessarily what they need. I learned today that 50% of businesses at most have a documented marketing strategy. Audience, write in the chat for us today. Do you have a marketing strategy and have you documented that strategy? What are we seeing? Is anybody brave to say that they have their strategy documented? I'm betting you guys are all in that group that I was in previously where nothing was documented.
Right now, I was being shy. So.
That's okay. Shy is good. That's why you're here, right? We're here to learn more. So when we're talking about strategy, we know we can't do it all. And we can't do it all well unless you have a massive team. And if you have a massive team, congratulations, that's awesome. So when we start with strategy, what needs to be accomplished? What are the goals? What are the goals of the activities we're doing today? And what's being measured? An example from one of my clients, they said, I just need you to do social media. My question is why? Is it just to gain exposure? Is it because the guy down the street is telling you? What do you want to get out of it? How are you going to measure it? And what are we going to do on a consistent basis? Is it just to look like you're still in business? Is it to promote your products? Is it to create a community? What is that? What are your goals? Why are we specifically doing this? And making sure that everyone on the team also aligned, because once you break down each different function and you know what the goals are and where we're going, that helps you create the foundation for your business. At Digital Marketer, we use things a little bit differently. We have the growth triad, and that's where we help our clients implement a documented journey, tools and tactics, actionable metrics, because we found that these 3 areas you have to have in order to be successful. You can't just have one of them. You can't have just 2 of them. For example, if I have actionable metrics and I have tools and tactics, let's say I run a campaign and it is off the chart successful. I won't be able to replicate it. It'll be a one-hit wonder. You'll have no idea what I did or how I got there. You'll just know that I had these incredible results. And then what? So that's where we want to make sure we have a strategy. We know where we're going. We know what metrics are important, and we know everything is written down. Then we get to the next step. Every marketer has their own strengths and weaknesses. And that's where we need to create that groundwork of strategy and then understand how can we use their strengths and weaknesses to either level them up, help them succeed in things that they want to be an expert in, or do we need to really identify that there's a big talent gap for something that's going to be important to your marketing strategy? If you don't know marketing, this could be a daunting task. I recommend a series of assessments so we get the holistic picture of who each team member is, where their strengths are, and where their passions lie. It's easier to start out any of these conversations by using that T-shaped marketing framework and laying the groundwork of understanding that no marketer can be exceptional in every single area. So there's a few different methods that I'd recommend for you to do these assessments with your team. There's a self-assessment, a 360-degree assessment, a third-party assessment, as well as data analysis. You don't have to use all of these methods, but I'd recommend that you use more than one. So we start out self-assessment. I love these. This is my favorite thing to be able to do with my team. And the reason being is we don't often recognize wins. I like to give my team members the opportunity to point out the wins that they've had, but by using the STAR method, which is what was the situation or task? What action did they do to accomplish? And then what were the results that they achieved? This really highlights the specific action the employee took, not the team as a whole, and helps them stand out and see how mature they are in their working relationships. There have been some team members that we've worked with that couldn't identify a weakness for the life of them. Whereas I celebrate the weaknesses, and that's where I'm going to help level you up. If I know, for example, I'm terrible in copywriting, there's 100 courses that you could take so you can level it up. And this really helps not only with the full assessment, but it gives you an idea as a leader, where do you go? The next one is 360-degree feedback. This is great if you have an incredible HR team that can keep it high level. If you have a strong HR team, you want to do a 360 assessment. This should be internal to your marketing team as well as external. You want to know what other stakeholders are thinking of your team members. You want to be able to give honest and open feedback. Are they doing a great job? Because I'll tell you what I think my strengths are, you may find as one of my weaknesses. For example, I may think I'm incredible at UX. You may have experience in UX and say, nope, that is not something you should be doing. You should definitely be working there. So that's really where you get the non-biased opinion, strong HR team, start doing these assessments. You can also use third-party assessments. So some of these, like for example, LinkedIn has skill set assessments. There are millions of these you can find all over the place. Even Indeed has these. And it really helps you to find out the different levels of your team. There's tons in marketing, there's tons in communication, there are some in PR. Anything you can imagine, you can find assessments for it, and then see how do your team members lay across the board. The final is the data analysis. And this is what I think is overlooked in almost every single company. What metrics are important in your team? Because this is going to show you where your team is spending time, effort, and energy. So then, do those metrics even align with your business goals? I'll tell you that some of my previous employers wanted us to spend 100 hours making data sheets. We can spend 100 hours making data sheets. I can make a gorgeous data sheet. No problem. We'll spend all these hours. We never looked to see, were they ever downloaded? Now that we have all this amount of time, effort, and energy put into it, is that the right direction? I don't think so. What's a data sheet going to do if we aren't getting in any leads? We need areas on the website for you to download it. We need to be able to put that out on social media. We need to be able to have something that engages, an email campaign, something. It isn't enough just to have a tactic. You have to figure out, how do we measure it? So now that we've done the data analysis, it's time to define roles, because quite frankly, we can't do everything. So how do we get from A to B? We know the strategy. We know where we're going. We know where we want to be. We know the strengths and weaknesses of our team. So let's define roles. Who's responsible for what? In most companies, those with the expertise will handle all the activities within their wheelhouse. If you have a social superstar, a digital media rock star, an email ninja, great, wonderful. They should be the ones doing those things. But then who's going to be responsible for the website or messaging? Do you need to hire 12 new members of your team? Not necessarily. Most organizations understand they can't do everything internally. But if you have the strategy, you know where you're going and you know what's needed, that's where you can identify the gaps. And the gaps may be high priority or low priority. That's something that you need to rank. So now that we've jumped in, We're in the deep end. You're looking around, you've taken a moment, you've done the assessments. This may feel a little bit overwhelming as a marketing leader. With the addition of that T-shaped marketing framework, the assessments, and all of this, we know every marketer on your team, we know where they stand, we know their skill set, you have strategy and focus, but what's next? How do we move forward? Let's take a time out. You have your list of goals. You don't have the budget to add 8 more team members. You're really looking around and you're thinking, okay, now what do we do? What is our marketing team and how do we benefit it? And that's where we need to think about the redefined marketing team actually includes leadership. Leadership sets the strategy, the vision. They tell us which way to steer the ship. Now, it may not be just marketing leadership. It may also be someone from the C-level who is guiding that ship. They may have the vision, we're going this direction. They're stakeholders on my marketing team. My stakeholders have nothing to do with marketing other than they're expecting X, Y, and Z. Stakeholders can be the sales team. Stakeholders, believe it or not, could be the implementation team. As a product marketer for a long time, I knew that I had to deliver a set of X, Y, and Z collateral so that the implementation team would have their life made easier. Think about all the other stakeholders, someone who has something to gain by being part of this redefined marketing team. Then you have the marketing team. These are the team members that are directly responsible for making marketing happen. Then there's partners. Since we know you can't do it all and you can't do it all well, and you can't hire 8 new team members just because you don't have the expertise there, that's where the marketing partner comes into play. And partners have the resources and expertise you need to be able to help you achieve more with your marketing. And they do this all day, every day. To be successful, they need to be involved in the strategy from the beginning. Let's use social media as an example. If you hire a company to do social media, yeah, they'll do it. Sure, we'll take you on as a client. Yep, we'll do it. We'll charge you this. Great. But they need to be completely aligned with your strategy, your stakeholders, and leadership so that they can be successful. What are they measured on? What direction is the ship going? What are the launches that are coming out? How do they need to be able to put it all together so that you can be more successful with the marketing dollars that you have? It's really important that the marketing team also sees these partners as partners. These are not people coming to take their jobs. It's people that are there to help support them get their jobs done. So the next part is just really things I would ask a marketing partner. There's a lot of questions here. And really, if they're aligned on strategy, if they're aligned on goals, if we're aligning on tactics, all of this from the beginning, it helps to flow. For example, I would want to know from a marketing partner, can you define the characteristics of a successful partnership? Because quite frankly, if they can't, don't hire them. It's not worth it. You want to know what connections can they help build? What bridges are they going to help build with your team? Because without a successful, wonderful working relationship, there's no way to be able to not only steer the ship in the same direction, but for everyone to work together and row together and really be able to bring it home and get you the most success that you could ever imagine. I had a marketing partner at Ticketmaster when I was there, and the marketing partner was brought on for content. And at the same time, as a marketing leader, I was told I was responsible for content. And figuring out, how do we work together? How do we complement? Where are our strengths? Where are our weaknesses? How do we bridge that gap so that we're putting out great content? I didn't have to redo it. She didn't have to redo it. We're working together. And in that period, we put out 50 ebooks in about a 2.5-month period, which then generated more leads than our business development reps could handle. So then we had another marketing partner handle our business development. You can see it all truly depends, and it builds on what that strategy is and your priorities. And now let's jump into some questions. Andy, I'm switching over to you so you can share.
If you have questions, we can you can type it into the chat box, or I believe you should be able to raise your hand and we can open up your mic if that's easier. So Rachel went really fast, so and we have a little bit more of an intimate group here today. So if you want her to dive in a little bit more, I do have a question. So Rachel, as you're assessing the T-shaped team, the the bottom part of it, depends on each business, right? Because it changes.
It changes
Depending
for
on
every
your
business.
team. Okay.
And it also depends on what is needed as you're talking through and as you're walking through your strategy. There's tools like the customer value journey. We can understand the steps all the way through from when they get their first glance to where finally they become a customer, and walk all the way through that. Now, there are different sections for every client that are going to be a priority. And those sections and how do we get there and how do we fill in our customer value journey really then translate very well to what that T-shaped marketer looks like. There are some companies, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and if you're unfamiliar with the customer value journey, our last Wicked Smart webinar talked a lot about that. It's on our YouTube channel. We also can take a look at that too. So with you, if you're curious about that. But yeah, if you're not familiar with that, basically it's a system that takes strangers and turns them into raving fans. So.
And some of the pieces that I showed on my T-shape are going to be different than your company. Your company may not need a database query because you may have software that already does it. You may have a CRM that's unbelievable and can spit out the reports that your team actually needs. So that's where we want to make sure that you're thinking about it. What's the priorities? What are the marketing specialties that you want your team to have and need, and then be able to build on top of that with skill sets.
So Bob has a question. As a salesperson on a team, how would you recommend we each recognize our strengths and weaknesses to improve individually and as a team?
I love that. So Bob, let's start at the beginning. Do you know what you're responsible for? Would you like to, do we want to open up the mic?
All the mics actually have been opened up, so you
Okay.
should be able just to unmute yourself and speak if you want to, if that's easier.
Sure.
Bob, you want to join us?
Yes, I'm responsible for achieving individual goals, but we all have numerous responsibilities within that team.
Mm-hmm.
As we work remotely right now, we're all trying to help get better as a team, but we're not around each other as often. So how do we recognize areas that we can get better individually and encourage others to improve as well?
Here's what I think maybe the first step is. First, we figure out roles, right? Like, what are the job description roles is what I mean. So there are some things that a sales team member should do, and there's things that they probably need a partner to do, right? For example, let's talk about crafting those prospecting emails, right? It may be something that it's 100% on the sales team's list, but it may be on the marketing team's list as well, right? So really defining what is the role of the sales team, because it varies from company to company, and then taking that and do a self-assessment. And I would, as a leader, have my team do your self-assessment based off of this. What have you won with? Where have your losses been? Where are you weak? How can we pull that all together and help not only level you up for next year, but how do we make sure that you're continually getting the education that you need? Is it conferences? Is it training courses? Is it more networking? Is it that, hey, we all have the same weakness of X, Y, and Z because we don't have time for it or we don't have the skills for it. So is it that we train the team on this? Or is it that we bring in a representative who could be the small business development representative who's just sending out the initial emails and getting appointments set up for you? The next level that I would do is that 360 assessment. Because while you are not all working together, I think there's going to be things that will surprise you based off, quite frankly, skills and traits that they see in you that you may not actually see in yourself. So I know that, for example, let's say I've known you for years and I know you can walk in and start a conversation with any person in this room. And that's something that is incredible. And that's really where I see you succeeding. It may not be something that you realize about yourself, but I think that that's why those 360s help.
And then
Thank you
Dan
for
has a
that.
question.
I like the 360 concept a lot. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and if you Google it, there are 100 million different ways to do it, but I would strongly recommend involving your HR team just as a facilitator, someone who is not biased, someone who is out of it, who can, if there's any little dramatic feedback, it can be taken and filtered out before it goes around. And also set the ground rules on, this is the purpose, this is why we're doing it. We're not here to fire anybody. We're not here to do anything other than to promote the business.
Thanks, Bob. Dan has a question. What's the first thing you would do? Document your strategy?
It depends. Everybody has a business today. So let's look at where the weakness is. For me, I will tell you, I have metrics. I know exactly what my metrics should be, but having time to actually go pull them and look is where right now I'm so busy I haven't had a chance to do that. So do I know if I'm winning or losing? Nope. But I have a documented journey. I know what we're doing. I have those tactics, but the metrics know what they should be. I haven't gotten there. So it really depends on what your business is and where you are. So if you're at a place where you don't have a documented journey, start there. You cannot lose if you have a documented journey. The reason being, if it is just you and you get hit by a bus tomorrow, you want the success to continue. You want somebody to know what the heck you're doing, how you're doing it. If you get promoted tomorrow and now you bring somebody on, if you have to start documenting that day, plus take on the new role, that's the worst thing you could ever imagine doing. So that's where I would recommend, if you don't have any documentation, I would start there.
Thanks, Dan, for your question. Anyone else?
Rachel?
Yes.
Excuse me, Susie Carlson. Quick question. I'm on an advisory board for a local college here, and we just had a meeting last week, and it was interesting to me because two national companies that are headquartered in our region, both of them brought up, because they were talking about specialization, you know, and both of them brought up that they're looking for generalists.
Mm-hmm.
They are looking for marketing generalists. They can go out and hire a specialist easily. But are you seeing that also? Because they said, we'll invest in that person, you know, to get them up to speed, but we need someone that can answer the phone and talk to someone. We need someone that can follow direction. We need someone, you know what I mean? And I'm like, both of these companies are major, you know, maybe billion-dollar companies. And that was interesting to me. Are you seeing that?
From my experience, I've only seen the exact opposite in the marketing world. And here's why I'll start out with that. I started working in the world of printing and doing marketing in the world of printing and growing the business and growing my skill set, teaching myself design, teaching myself all these other things. I can go present, I can go jump in front of a client. If I need to do sales, I can do that. If I need to design, I can do that. And all of those skill sets. The minute that I tried to go apply to the next set of jobs, they didn't know what to do with me. Marketing at that time was extremely specialized. And I only want somebody who's been working in email for their entire life, because then they know email marketing. Well, I know email marketing. They're like, but that wasn't your job title. And even up for the last 20 years, this is how it's been in the world of marketing. And it's extremely exciting for me to hear that someone would actually hire a generalist versus I want a director of marketing for just product marketing. I want a director of this for just that. I want something specific and just so ridiculously full of expertise, and this is their first job out of college all the way through where they are now.
Okay, I'm just wondering if the pendulum is swinging again, maybe, you know?
I hope it is, because I think that they're finding value. if we just hire somebody to do email marketing, we have all of these other things that have to get done. So how do they get done? And you're not going to hire one person for each of the different activities. So hiring generalists, I am very strongly in favor of. I also think that if you're coaching someone who wants to be a generalist and who wants to get that to that level, there's tons of certifications, tons of programs. So I went to school, my degree's in psychology. To be taken seriously in the marketing world, that's where I started getting all the extra certifications in testing, in design, and landing page optimization, email marketing, and so on, even social media. And you can find them. There's reputable companies all over the place. There's Digital Marketer, there's Hootsuite, there's Mech Labs. There's a few of them that can really build that education and are not too cost prohibitive.
Hey, Rachel.
Thank you.
I was at the Traffic and Conversion Summit last March, or the, whatever, 2018. And they had talked about the T-shaped marketer and how usually like the leaders or the vice presidents tend to be a generalist, right? And then the team beneath them also has a well-rounded knowledge, but they have some specialties where they like to live, where they're really good at. And as a leader, you're kind of optimizing, filling in the gaps with as well as you can, depending on the size of your team. Is that kind of what you're saying?
What I've seen in just corporate America, and this is my experience in corporate America and what it comes from. The marketing leaders that were at the absolute top were specialized in their entire careers growing up, right? So they're specialized in performance marketing and then grew up that way. And then they're trying to go side to side. But where their brilliance is in, quite frankly, it's could blow away anyone if they sat down and talked to them. It's not specifically in seeing the problem of performance marketing. It's understanding the rest of the goals and the gaps and understanding they may not have the knowledge to get there and they may not have that, but they are there to hire somebody who can and who can talk that talk, walk that walk, and deliver all day and all night.
So when you're approaching a business owner, it sounds like it would be important for them to, be very self-aware to where like, okay, am I capable of hiring these people, whether it be for an internal employee or an external agency, and they need to kind of educate themselves enough to improve the process. Is that fair?
I think you need to have some idea of, number one, what is your strategy? Why are you doing it? What are you measuring before you even start talking about a partner or bringing on somebody? Because it is pointless to do social media to do social media. If you're expecting you are going to just do social media and the world's going to turn over and you're going to get billions of dollars in sales, that isn't how it works. And there's no organization that will say, oh, that's how it's going to work. And if they do, they're not people you want to work with. What I would recommend is you get just a high level knowledge. You can attend a conference. You can join a webinar. There's webinars happening every single day about every topic ever in marketing and everything else right now. And for a small investment in your time, be able to understand what you can get from that. Is it a tactic that you need, or is it that you need help with strategy? If you're a business owner and you don't know marketing strategy, that's okay. Hire somebody who does and with proven results, because you don't want to set the strategy. You bring somebody in to do a tactic and they're like, all right, we can do this for you, but you'd get so much more bang for your buck if we did this instead and made it a bigger campaign and made it a bigger push to get to your result.
Okay. Any other questions? We have about 6 minutes left, or well, I guess probably have time for one more question. Then I'll introduce the next speaker for the next Wicked Smart webinar in a few weeks. So.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for your time, everyone.
Thank you, Rachel. This is awesome. I appreciate your time and loved the topic. Just so happened to be a marketing nerd, so it's probably not surprising. So next Wicked Smart webinar is 2 weeks from today. I can't believe it's already talking about mid-November, but that's how it works, I guess. We're bringing on Steve Hooper. He's the founder of SiteGeek. He just spoke at a national conference on this topic and how to build an e-commerce ecosystem to create a killer customer journey. So if you know anybody that's in e-commerce, which a lot of businesses have had to try to move towards an e-commerce model with all of the changes with COVID and more people shopping from home and things like that. He's an expert at this stuff. So there isn't a lot of e-commerce experts. Steve is actually coming to us all the way from across the pond in England, I think. I'll have to double check that, but he has an accent, so he'll be fun to listen to at least. And he's also a digital marketer certified partner. So if you can see a trend here, we've been talking about the customer journey for 3 Wicked Smart webinars in a row. And I'm it's very, very important that there's a reason why I did all that. And as I orchestrate these speakers, because the focus on the customer journey, if you can create that map, if you understand the process on being able to take a customer from a stranger and turn them into a raving fan and document that journey, it allows you as a business owner to fill where are they falling? Where is the friction? Where are the giant holes in your business or the lowest hanging fruit where you could possibly double your results, or you're maybe looking in the wrong place when you look at your customer journey, and you wouldn't know that until you mapped it out. So Steve's going to talk about that from an e-commerce standpoint, but I'm excited about bringing him on here, and I really appreciate everyone's time today. Thank you for your questions and your engagement. This has been awesome. With that, I will see you in a few weeks. Appreciate your time.